Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the FitFam podcast. This is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
So,
Before we get going, one of these times we're going to show all the things that happen before we actually start recording. For example, Doug looking on the monitor in front of us and reaching to try to find out where the things are that he needs to move, so they're not in the shot. And then another one, for example, when Doug and I sit in these chairs, he's not this much taller than me. One of us
short.
is sitting on a booster.
They're like foam pads.
Okay, anyways, please like and subscribe and comment all the awesome things you want to. And what's today about?
Oh,
Doug's on fire today again.
what's crazy is I'm getting more on fire. It seems like every week. And I can just tell this is a deep calling that's actually, really, really coming to a culmination of a need to be at a bold level. And so this week is about the Great American Food Fraud.
I like it.
And we had to come up with a name for the movement that we're spearheading. We've been spearheading for decades, but we're on another level now because it truly is a war, and we truly need to pick sides, because you're actually picking a side whether whether or not you're like, oh, I need to pick a side. You already are, based on your lifestyle and the choices you make. But there needs to be like, what is this we're fighting for? We're fighting for a health freedom and to be able to enjoy life at the highest, personally, with our family, with our children, with our grandchildren, with our friends. And so we came up with this actually today. And basically, it's the fight against the Great American Food Fraud.
Yeah, and I love it. I love the name. I think Dallin helped you come up with that one,
Absolutely.
right? And it's phenomenal because it is exactly that. We've talked about it in the past, how advertisers get you to be drawn to different things. Like with cigarettes, it was Joe Camel.
Joe Camel, Marlboro Man.
Marlboro Man. And so it's like this fraud. It's this thing to make it look enticing, to pull at your heartstrings, to get you emotionally connected, and then you're in it, and all of a sudden you're eating and consuming these things that are destroying your health, making you go back to the healthcare system to get the drugs that you need from the foods that you even thought you were doing good with, right? And being healthy with. And it's like this circle. And I think you've always been passionate about it. It's for decades. It's been our mission. But I think there's something in the air. I think I don't know if it's because everybody is getting a little more informed. I don't know if it's because it feels like it's at a breaking point, that if we don't do something now, then our future is going to be taken from us.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with knowing just innately, like you're saying, and a lot of it is the statistics are coming out to where you can't run from it anymore, right? And I
That's
think
probably it.
the same thing happened back in the 80s and the 90s with tobacco companies when they kept putting that fraud on, right? Joe Camel, even better than that, Marlboro Man, making it look cool.
Masculine.
And women and men, making it look like it was this
Sexy
and high society thing to smoke. And people believed it, even though if you did it yourself, you knew you weren't healthy or you didn't get healthier by smoking. But then in the late 80s and the 90s, but like what's happening now with food, the truth started coming out with the research saying, look, you absolutely have an extremely higher risk of getting cancer if you smoke, right? Your cells are being coated, your lifespan is going to be shortened. And I believe it was a culmination of both. That finally the research and the data was strong enough to where people, they have enough friends, family that were affected, that we went from this major epidemic of smoking to where it's not as big a deal now. And we're hoping the same thing happens right now. But it's happening with the same companies that you mentioned, right? The tobacco companies saw the writing on the wall. They're dummies.
Yeah. So let's go into that. I know we've covered that on another episode, but we had one of our clients go to one of your talks, and he was so profoundly affected by what you said. I think it's good to mention it again.
Sounds good. I think it was amazing to have one of someone that's in our industry and all that say
And
they
already
didn't understand
committed.
it and
Well,
committed.
already committed to the diet and the lifestyle.
Yeah,
And now after hearing it is like that much more. And it's like, how much more can he get commit? Because
already
he
committed.
is
Yeah.
a beast. But yeah, so
So basically, what was the big paradigm shift with him, which we're hoping happens with all of you watching this, is that to understand that the marketing plan that was extremely successful to get entire country smoking cigarettes, even as teenagers, making it look healthy and sexy for kids, the same companies now own the major food companies. So, right? So RJ Reynolds and all of the other tobacco companies, cigarette companies you can think of, the Marlboro, all them, they bought the food companies. And we saw it happen. We know it happened. You can look it up, from Kraft, General Mills, all of them were purchased. And all they did is take that same marketing, phenomenal marketing, right?
right.
Terrible as far as morals and ethics, but phenomenal marketing, and moved it over. And the big thing that I think we haven't spoken up that was a big aha, like for him, was he goes like, Doug, I got that. I got that's the same marketing and it makes sense. But what I didn't get was the same chemicals that they learned how to put into tobacco that made tobacco so addicting on top of just tobacco itself. But those chemicals are the exact same chemicals that they're putting in the processed foods that are making us extremely addicted to the foods. So you have tobacco wasn't good for you, and now you're extremely addicted to it. You already have processed foods, white flour, sugar that's not good for you, but then the chemicals make you extremely addicted. That same thing. And I think that was the light bulb that went off. And that's what we're trying to make sure people know, that it is a great American food fraud, that they're taking our food and adding these chemicals in the processing, so we can't eat the same foods like we did when we were young. We could eat some foods when we were young, even go to McDonald's once in a while, stuff like that. The French fries were 3 ingredients. Now it's over 300
Right.
ingredients, right?
Right.
That things
So
are different.
okay, so things are different, and the goal is to get you emotionally connected, right? And then you try it, and now you're actually you're physically addicted. So at first it's an emotional connection,
It's
it just
sexy, right?
or like it's playful. Your kids are like, oh, I want it, and then you actually become physically addicted, right? So I think my question is that what was the point? Was the point to help these foods like be able to be on the shelf and sustain their shelf life, or was the actual point to get us addicted to them?
Great question. So what was sold to agencies, government agencies and stuff, was we need to increase the shelf life. That's what the selling point was, but that isn't what it was about. It was about getting us addicted. And it's
And
just
because of money.
and money, right? It's the same marketing technique that the top companies in the world do, that do it for good reasons, or it's not harmful for us, right? For example, a hotel or a Disneyland that we use a lot. Their goal is to keep you within their resort. They don't want you to have some reason to go out and go to some other show somewhere else and do something else, go swimming somewhere else, right? They put everything in the one place
Right.
so that you stay there, so that one, they create a better experience. Two, all your monies that you do spend go to them. And there's nothing wrong with that concept for Disneyland, because you can choose to go outside and things, but they're trying to get everything in one place.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you see that with resorts and hotels around the world now. Well, the same holds true in the area of business when it comes to the food companies. And that is, they're saying, hey, look, we want to keep you in our world. And if you understand who owns the food companies, the tobacco, pharma, big pharma, food, all three of them, they're one basic big holding company called BlackRock, Vanguard. Anyways, just picture it as one company, right? So pharmaceuticals, the drugs, the foods, all of that is one. And so they're saying, how can we keep you in our resort, in our world? Let's feed you these foods that make you sicker, that make you go to the over-the-counter drugs, that make you go to the prescription drugs, eventually surgeries. Some people die young, right? But if not, if you kind of kick it in a little bit, then you go back and eat the same foods, and it keeps you in their cycle, right? You're purchasing everything from them. And they've gotten so good at it that now the people that want to get out of that cycle said, oh, well, I'm going to eat healthier and I'm going to take my vitamins and all that. They started purchasing the vitamin companies.
Right.
So they're trying to broaden that circle, say, oh, yeah, go ahead and take your vitamins and that. And they sell you synthetic processed vitamins. So the great American food fraud is one food, like
Right.
we're thinking,
Right.
but the other is whole food vitamins, that they're selling you synthetic processed vitamins now instead of food vitamins.
And of course, it goes further than just the food fraud. It goes into merchandise fraud,
Mm.
right? And because we're talking about detergents, makeup, we're talking about everything, household products.
Anything that can affect you at the cellular level, which food is the main thing because you do that the
Right.
most.
Right.
But like you said, anything topical, makeup, lotions, things like that, the things you eat out of plastics, all of those play a role. And instead of like, oh, that's just a crazy world, I can't do anything if I listen to them. Instead, just make some healthier choices. If you can just start making a little bit of movement, it goes a long way. Your body is resilient, but we've got to start taking some of that just excess, away of just being bombarded
So
from
I
every
think,
angle.
can we hit the three things that you're trying to hit here? And it's basically commit, serve, and scale,
That's
right?
it.
And when we're talking about commit, I think sometimes that can be a scary word when people are, just starting to implement some changes with diet, nutrition, household products, that kind of thing, because it feels like everything has crap in it, everything. So it's like at one point in life, it's like, oh, we just need to eat healthier. And then it's like, wait, what's healthier? Now all of these things that I'm buying that I think I'm being healthier with have all of these additives in it. Or, I'm buying fruits and vegetables, but now there's being sprayed with all of these pesticides. And so I think it can become overwhelming. And I think the point is for it to not be overwhelming. The point is to make the changes as you can and start small. So, when you can purchase whole foods,
Organic.
products, organic products with less ingredients, when you can make your own meals at home from scratch. And I don't mean not using anything canned, or I just mean making your own food where you know where each ingredient is coming from. Then do that. There'll be times that we all go out to eat and grab something through fast food, but the times that you can, make the better choice. And so I think instead of becoming overwhelmed with it, just small changes. Sometimes it's as small as, going from fried chips to baked chips to then making your own chip. You know what I mean? There's steps, and nobody needs to feel like they have to jump in head first and do all the changes all at once.
Absolutely. So basically, what we're saying is the great American food fraud is real. It's real. You need to realize it. It's serious. It's the reason that, 1 in 100 people were getting autoimmune diseases. Now it's 1 in 10.
Yeah.
And so the obesity rates went from 5% when I was a kid to over almost 50% today. Like, it's a real deal. So the food fraud's real. We need to fix it. And the first thing that Hilary mentioned is commit. And the commit is just making and deciding that I'm going to do something about it, as Hillary said, little steps at a time. So the first step is commit. And that's what we really want everyone to do, is just don't make a decision, decide.
Yeah. You gave an example of decide versus decision, and that was cool. Will you share that?
Yeah, so like decide, and Chris Smith helped us with the side part is the key. That's the difference between decision and decide. So when you decide on something, you cut off. You actually have to cut off. A decision is like, okay, that's there, but you're not cutting something off. So decide, like herbicide, right? Pesticide, you're killing something off.
Yeah.
And we've got to kill off this big fraud that's happening
I
with
think
this with little commitments.
Yeah, I think what we have to kill off is pretending it doesn't exist. That's what we need to,
That's a very
that's
good
the
point.
commitment part, is just realizing that this is a thing, that we all are in charge of our own health. To act like the government or somebody else has your best interest always in better than you do is simply untrue.
It's untrue. And what's interesting is we have a friend that's lost 50 pounds, improved eating, started exercising consistently, taking vitamins, and lost that weight, got on stage, right? Did his thing, and then took a week off after and went back to the normal lifestyle. And he came to the gym the other day and he's like, I got it. I didn't realize that going back to just eating whatever, whenever, had such an effect on my body. It's so less energy. I couldn't think straight at work, make great decisions. He goes, and that's how I'd been before. I didn't realize how much better it was
Right.
until I started living that way.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fraud is they slowly get you to where what you think is the norm is great, and it's not. It's so far down from what's possible for you to be present, to have that energy and the vitality. So it was really cool to see that. So you're right. It's making this commitment, deciding that it's real and committing to do something about it. So once you have that commitment, then we move to the next part, which is serve.
Okay. So what does serve involve? So the very first person you should be serving always is, other than your God, is yourself,
Yourself.
right?
Yeah.
You
And you can't serve others unless you serve yourself.
Yeah.
It's not selfish, it's selfless to put yourself first.
Well, and here's the greatest part about that is that if you are serving yourself and your health and treating yourself as you should, you innately want to serve and help others that much more. And what's even better is that people get to see you treating yourself properly, and they want to be a part of that. Sometimes I think when we've found something great, we want to share it with everyone and we want to push it on them. And sometimes when you're trying to push something on someone, it just doesn't feel as real. So if you can do it for yourself first, people will notice changes. And what it does too, in this arena especially, it shows that it's not impossible and it's not that hard.
Yeah, and any of you that are watching this that are parents, right? We're preaching to the choir. Is your children don't do much, or at least all the time, what you say. But if you look back and you've been in the game long enough as parents, you'll realize that what your children do is they follow your actions. And so they follow what you do, not what you say. And that's kind of what we're saying. If you put yourself first and you start living a healthier lifestyle, then people want what you have. They see what's happening in your life and they will start to, you don't have to push it on them. Like we truly many times get into conversations that we wouldn't have got in, but people ask us, they're like, hey, we want what you have, or, what did you do to accomplish this, or the energy, vitality, your look, whatever it might be. And that's really the key. So serving yourself.
And then your family, which that comes down to what, like as a mother or a father, how you're feeding them, what you're providing, what's in your home for them to go to,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then what you're allowing when you leave and are on the road. So, and what's great about that is that we tried really hard. I feel like sometimes better than others when our kids were growing up and were in our house. And what we tried most at was that when we were inside the house, there wasn't going to be a bunch of garbage, right? It was going to be as healthy as we could. And then that way, when they were gone or at friends' houses or somewhere else, then if they did make a different choice, it wasn't something that was going to affect their health to such a bad extent.
Right, because they weren't getting it constantly.
Correct.
Right. And I think that's really important. So yourself and then your family, what decisions and what are you deciding to do with them? Because a lot of times as parents, in your home, you allow them to do whatever. And you're not really caring about them if you do that. You'd make some good choices there. And then friends. And I think the friends thing ends up coming that the friends that are attracted to you and all that are attracted based on the lifestyle they see you
Right.
living with your family. You don't want to hang out with people you don't like that are
Yeah.
mean or this or that. And the same with health. Like we seem to attract people that, like, hey, I like that type thing. Just like
Right.
we're attracted to them. We like some of
Yeah.
their personalities, whatever it might be. So you commit, you got to decide and decide now that this is real. Then you serve yourself, family, friends. So how do you serve? And the three areas we like mentioning is first, you've already made the commitment. You already have the mindset, right?
Yeah.
And so the three things is it is the great American food fraud. So it has to come down to your serving by making better choices with foods.
Mm-hmm.
That's first.
Right.
And so I think one of the things you said is always great is just try to choose your food so that they're, 3-ingredient or less if possible, type foods.
Yeah, and he's talking about like when you're out and there's something packaged, which 3-ingredient or less is almost an impossibility.
So, but if those ingredients are real ingredients, so it could be something to where there's 4 or 5 different vegetables or fruits or things that are, healthier herbs, but we're talking about when they have added sugars and chemicals you don't know what they are, the MSG, the sucralose,
Right.
fructose, like when these added things to the foods you want to keep to a minimum,
Right.
right? And then the same thing holds true with the whole food supplements is, as I mentioned, part of the great American food fraud is they're saying, hey, okay, there's going to be a large group that says we want to be healthy and so we want to take vitamins. So they bought 97% of all the supplement companies and converted the vitamins to synthetic, right? Ascorbic acid made from hydrochloric acid and corn syrup versus from oranges and cherries and those types of things. And so one is the food and the other is whole food supplements. And we get asked all the time, and I thought that we spoke this and speak it a lot, but I keep getting the messages on this and questions even at seminars like, what are the absolute most important things and the most valuable protocol, right? That type thing. And it's really simple. One is you take a basic array of nutrients that will fill in the gaps for, your puzzle, your body. And the best way to do that is to get a custom pack. There's a male custom pack or a female custom pack from Optimal Health Systems that you can just purchase, go online and purchase. You can fill out the quiz on the Optimal Health Systems website to get a little bit more detail to make a custom pack. You can do the blood work, which we're big on.
Big fans.
But basically, you could right now get a pack for you that fills in all those gaps, the probiotics, the enzymes, the fatty acids, all that stuff. So first of all, get on a pack of nutrients, okay,
Right.
custom pack. The second thing is digest your food. So you take Digestamil every time you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And now the added is the new Chemzyne that you take one capsule between meals twice a day. And that gets rid of and digests these plastics, the phthalates, right? The forever chemicals that we have to start reducing in the body.
Right.
And so that's your basics is that's it. Take a good custom pack, however you want to go about it. Take your Digestamil with your meals, your enzymes, and take these special enzymes that get rid of the chemicals that we're coming across that we get, infiltrate our body every day. That's the serve part with also movement.
Yeah, movement's super important. So I know we're talking about the great American food fraud, but in relation to food is the way that we process it, which also means the way that we move our bodies. So, food can be, a medicine if you're doing all the things correct. So,
Yeah, and that's a great point. Is we're talking about movement to fight the great food fraud. And digestion happens by the peristaltic movement of the stomach muscle. So doing ab work, circulation of the bloodstream is critical for the digestion of nutrients and the delivery of nutrients to the cells, which provide energy and create life. And so you have to have movement. So we're talking about 60 minutes of movement every day, no matter what. If it's a walk, whether it's strength training, and we can get in all those details, but just move. So your
yeah,
commitment is food, whole food supplements, and movement.
right. And so I think again with movement, sometimes it's a scary thought with people trying to start on exercise and I don't know what to do. Well, move your body 60 minutes
And work into
and
it.
do it throughout the day. If you can't commit to a 60 minutes at one point, then you can do 20, 20, 20. And just make sure at some point in the day you are being physically active. Like Doug said, it could be a walk, it could be playing basketball, it can be what does everybody love nowadays?
Pickleball.
Pickleball. It can be lifting weights, it can, there's so many ways. It can be jumping on the trampoline. Just movement.
Just movement. And as you do movement, you will find other ways to do it more effectively because
Yes.
it used to be that we were really big, right? We believe everyone should strength train, lift weights at least 3 times a week. Like we're hardcore at that. But we've learned that if we can get you to just start serving yourself and have movement each day, you're going to be led to that. You're going to be led like, hey, I'm walking every day. I'm doing that.
Feeling
I'm ready
better.
for the next
Yeah,
part. I'm going to
feeling
lift some
stronger.
weights.
Yeah.
You're going to find your way to the gym or to lift weights because you'll see that that is the ultimate level of movement. So you commit. The war is real. The fight is real. You're on one side or the other, or no matter what, you might as well pick the side that's going to do the most good for you and your family and the friends, and decide now, make that declaration, serve by getting the movement, making better choices with your foods, and take your whole food supplements, custom pack, digestive meal, and Chemzyne. And then the last part, commit, serve, is scale. And that's the part that really a lot of our people that we meet with, the thousands of doctors, the patients, a lot of you that follow us on FitFam, you're like, I'm with you. I've committed, right? I'm there. There's a problem. We're fighting it. And yeah, I take my vitamins, right? I probably need to take a look at that, make sure I'm doing digestimal, Chemzyne, and a custom pack, but I do that. And I'm working to exercise. So we're with you. So what's left? And what's left is scaling. Like, in order to beat this war, we have to enlist others. And that's really what it comes down to is get involved. And we're not trying to invite you to some, meeting that we write on a whiteboard and sell you some Amway thing or something like that. Not like that. We're just saying whatever it is to you to help with the movement, maybe be proactive in your community, share with others, anything that you can do to help people understand there is a big American
Well,
food fraud going on, and you can do something
and
about it.
and you can share things like when you've seen a good post and it talks about you did one just yesterday that I just loved, the 3 things that you need to stay away from. Share those, and then because it helps other people get on board, and then those people are starting to look for those things, right?
Yeah.
The things that they're not supposed to have. So I think it can be as easy as that.
That's a great point. And based on that, that is the easiest thing to do. And in fact, some of the great movers for us on this against, the great American food fraud are people that started off small 2 years ago. One of them only had like 100 followers, but because they stayed on this subject, right? They're in the millions and they're making a big splash and helping us fight this battle is sharing. So, follow Hillary. Was it Hillary Kit Fit?
Hmm.
Or or me on social media, or both of us. And our main thing right now is we are working hard to make posts about this, the things that show the statistics, or how to make easy choices to
I think
be able
something
to improve your health.
I think something that would be really helpful too is if on this episode we would add some of the sources that we use that we like Means, just like different things like that.
Yeah, so the big movement with RFK, right? So RFK is behind a big movement, and he's probably our biggest spokesperson right now, and we're looking to do big things with him. Means, a great book called Good Energy, that they're doing that. Food Babe and a few other influencers that just went to Kellogg's, right, to tell them, like, you make these cereals already in other countries without these processed, chemicals and dyes and that. Just that's what you need to
Yeah,
sell
just
here.
do it here.
And so absolutely, those are some great people, and you're going to see
Just Ingredients.
Just Ingredients, a great
Love 'em.
company, and our new like Ms. baked chips. Obviously, anytime we come across a company, we'll mention it to you, or people that you follow. A lot of times they have their own things that you think would be competitive to us, but the key is that the movement,
Yeah.
right? The movement, and that we keep moving forward. So the message for today is the great American food fraud is real. It's real. It affects you no matter what. You already are on one side or the other because you have to eat every day, right? So why not pick the side that will benefit you, your family, and generations to come the most, and doing it by committing, serving, and scaling.
Love it.
As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hillary.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
Keep chewing.
See ya.